It's Thursday, everybody. It's Thursday. It's 10 o'clock. I'm Tim Harris. It's time for 10 with Tim. How are you doing today? It's a wet, foggy, gray Thursday, but it's warm and God is so good. And it's good to be in His Word, and it's good to be with you. I love you so much. Thank you for taking time out of your morning to study with me. I appreciate it. Those of you who are going to join me over lunch or later, I love you too. Those of you who are going to binge watch on the weekend, I hope it's a great Saturday morning for you, and I hope it's all good. We're in Psalm 60 and Psalm 61 today, kind of going verse by verse through the Word of God, and spending some time in these middle Psalms right now before we get back to some other things in the New Testament. But let's talk about Psalm 60. Psalm 60 is, again, if you're going to classify it, it's a lament. I would call it a communal lament. In other words, it's us. You have rejected us, O God. You've rejected us, broken our defenses. It's really not a personal. It doesn't read like a one person's, crying out to God. Psalm 61 does, but Psalm 60 is more of a communal lament. It strikes me as a prayer that might be prayed, at a time of national defeat or humiliation. It's just this idea that the people, the nation itself has come into this place of horrible military defeat and now cries out to God for God to somehow revive and restore the strength of the people, of the nation. That's how it reads to me. I see in the psalm probably three sections if you look closely, and they are sort of signaled by, in Hebrew, the name for God, Elohim. In the translations you're reading, it's probably just God. You have rejected us, O God, is in verse 1, and then you'll find it again, Elohim, in verse 6. God has promised this by His holiness, and then again in verse 10, have you rejected us, O God? So that use of that name for God, Elohim, in three different sections probably kind of marks off the sections of the psalm. It's a desperate situation, and I think part of what we see, look at verse 11. Oh, please help us against our enemies, for all human help is useless. It's this desperate situation nationally when truly only God can help. Only God's intervention could possibly change the outcome of the people's predicament. So with that, you just notice the strong language, the strong tone of lament. You've rejected us, oh God. Again, that's not true. And I think deep down the psalmist knows it's not true, because like most laments, the final note of the song is actually confidence. Verse 12, with God's help, we do mighty things, for He will trample down our foes. That's verse 12. But now before you get to verse 12, we got 11 verses of where are you and why have you done this to us? You've been angry with us. Now restore us. You have shaken our land and split it open. Will you now mend the cracks? Literally, that's what he prays in verse 2. Again, you've been very hard on us. It's a typical lament. And again, I know that some of you you wouldn't dare pray that way. You'd never say, God, are you mad at me? Why are you so mad at, why are you not listening to me? It's like you've ruined my life. Now will you fix it? But I just remind you, I say it over and over, if this is how you feel, this is how you pray. And the psalmists give you permission, just utter permission to feel what you feel and bring it all to God and lay it before Him. That's what prayer is. If you hold back these true emotions, then you're not praying honestly. And you ever heard the phrase honest to God? So pray honest to God and pray as you feel. Verse 4, you have raised a banner for those who fear you, a rallying point in the face of attack. That's a common phrase you find in the Psalms and in the Old Testament, that idea of the Lord is our banner. What does that even mean? In the ancient world, especially in a time of warfare, an army, a nation might raise a banner. This would be a colorful flag. Emblem, a gigantic, colorful banner, which might be raised in the wilderness or often on the walls of a town. Release that banner against the wall of the town, which you could see from a distance, the bright color of the fabric. You would be able to see, and it would be a signal. Again, there's no cow's alarm, like in our day. There's no other way to, have a national defense system. You could blow a horn, for example, but the horn blow would get your attention, but the banner tells you where to run. So when you see the banner, it's a banner of safety. It becomes a rallying point. I may blow the horn as an alarm, but now you look for the banner and you know where safety and security are. And so the banner would be released against the walls of a city of refuge, or the banner would be raised in the wilderness, so you would look and you would know where to go. Lord, you have raised a banner for those who fear you, a rallying point in the face of attack. So when the scripture says, Lord, your name itself is a banner, is a strong banner, then recognize that's what it means. It's a rallying point. It's a place, toward which to flee. And I love that. So Psalm 60 is that. It's a communal lament. And again, once more, it ends with a note of confidence. With God's help, we're going to do mighty things. They don't look like that yet. I love how in verse 6, in the midst of the disaster, the trial, there's still this recollection of God's promise. God, you promised this, but the present situation doesn't bear out that promise yet. But I'm going to stand on that promise and praise you. With God, we do mighty things. Let's talk about Psalm 61. Psalm 61 it's weird in a way. For me, it's weird in that sense that this very personal kind of lament has this weird prayer for the king, stuck in there. And y'all know by now, I'm kind of allergic to this stuff, the royal psalms and this kind of, add many years to the life of the king. May his years span the generations. Like, why are we stopping to pray for him? Here's the thing. Many scholars believe that Psalm 61 isn't, just a personal lament, a personal psalm. It might actually be the king's lament. So it says it's a psalm of David, and so this might actually be David's own lament, but he is the king at this point, and so perhaps it's the king's lament. You say, well, okay, that's weird. Why would the king pray about the king? Give the king long life. May his years span the generation. I mean, like, why? What? Well, I think that's called like court style, like the king would be speaking in court style, sort of like when the Queen of England says, we are not amused, speaking in the royal plural there, well, isn't it just you? But no, there's this recognition, even for the one who wears the crown, that the crown is larger. The king's royalty, the king's position is larger than even the person who fills that position. So even the king himself might speak in terms of the crown as if it's something outside himself, because indeed it is. There will be a king before him, and there's going to be one after him. And so that crown is actually existentially speaking, larger than the individual who wears it. So it could truly be the king's lament, and he could be, praying about himself, but in that third person, because it's court style. That's how the kings, especially in the ancient world, that's how they would have even prayed for themselves. Interesting, huh? I think so. But for me, Psalm 61, forget that. That's what I said. I don't even like, that part don't mean much to me. The prayer about the king, that's not the verse that warms my heart. Psalm 61 has a string of phrases that are just so beautiful and well known. That idea of, lead me to the rock that is higher than I. Like, I've had to stop. I've really thought about that for the last couple of days. I'm trying to figure out kind of what that means. What is the rock that is higher than I? Like, that's really strange. A rock that's higher than I am. Obviously, a high point in the rocks would be a place of safety, a place where you can see the enemy's approach, a place that's easy to defend. So when you're a military person and you're looking for a safe place or a high place on a rock would be that place of refuge, that place of safety. But the rock that is higher than I, it's such a beautiful and interesting phrase. Most people would say, because in several places David calls, the Lord himself the rock. So it could be, saying, God, take me to you yourself. You are the rock that is higher than I. I don't know. Like I say, it's such a beautiful poetic metaphor. It seems in some ways to go beyond what words can say, and I just love it. But I love that phrase, the rock that is higher than I. Lord, you are my strong tower. Again, these Old Testament phrases just piled up in this psalm, a strong tower. Once more, this is a construction. You have the wall of the city for defense, but towers in the wall, which give you once more a place that is nearly unassailable from the enemy, and a place from which you can watch and see the enemy coming. It's a place of utter safety. Lord, you are my tower, my strong tower of refuge. And then I love the next one. Let me dwell in your tent. We've gone from these, very forceful military metaphors to this intimate language of, can I just stay with you? It's like when I was a kid and I had a nightmare and I'd just go climb up in mom and dad's bed. I'm not going to sleep in your bed. Lord, can I just dwell in your tent? I love that. That place of safety now is this intimacy. But then it goes even beyond that. I'm going to find safe shelter beneath your wings. It's like a chick, a baby bird that crawls up in that warm, soft safety of the mother's wing and just, sleeps there. I just love that. I love these pictures of God is my refuge. God is my safety. And again, it starts with, this rock that is higher than I don't even know what that means. This tower of refuge, this strong tower, this tent place. And now, I just all the way up under your wing. It just goes from, the strong, distant military image to this warm, maternal, up under your wing. I just love it so much. I will sing praises to your name forever, and I will fulfill my promises every day. Wow. It's just a beautiful psalm. Again, another psalm of David. Pick up right here with me tomorrow. Psalm 62 and Psalm 63. You figured it out by now. We're going to do 2 psalms a day. Is it working okay? Psalm 62 and Psalm 63. So listen, stay dry, stay in the Word. I think I said I love you. I said again, I love you so much. I love your friendship and the Word with me. So listen, I'll see you in the morning, Lord willing, 10 o'clock for 10